when Donald Trump called it the Chinese virus his first term, almost immediately China said this is what you guys did to the Japanese in World War II. This is the yellow peril scare of the 19th century. You're discriminating. And they appealed to the 12% of Asians in the United States and made that propaganda that they were part of the DEI project. They were just the global representation of Asians who were being discriminated in universities in America. They really played that up here. We had a lot of high-profile China, Fang, the notorious operative from the Chinese Communist Party, who was a consort of Representative Swalwell. And that was the narrative we heard, and it was very effective among left-wing circles that anybody who is pushing around China is a Donald Trump racist. And I think the United States got a little bit smarter with that and started talking about the actual 2 or 3% who are engaged in espionage, which, given the numbers, is pretty large, 5,000 or 6,000 students. And I think we've never been more open and candid about support for Taiwan. A lot of people, and we have never been closer militarily with South Korea and Japan. We've got some trade issues, but I think China has almost failed in that effort to convince Americans that if you're skeptical of the Chinese government, then somehow you're a anti-DI, anti-Chinese racist. That was what we heard in the universities. And I can tell you that the Stanford Review student magazine just ran an investigative series of articles about Chinese students that were terrified of the Chinese government because they're all indoctrinated and questioned before they come here and when they leave, and they don't want to be. And the article was by anonymous Chinese students that were telling the coercion that the communist government puts on them and the dangers they feel that they're in if they don't cooperate and the dangers they feel they're in if they do under the new administration that has zero tolerance for it. But the thrust of the paper was sympathetic to Chinese students. And one thing that's very clear here in the United States is the majority, because we've had 6-7 generations of Chinese Americans, the vast majority are pro-Taiwanese and hostile to the communist government. And because of the nature of immigration to the United States, we still have multi-generational Chinese families that don't speak Mandarin. They're Cantonese, and they're not part of the mainstream Chinese narrative, and they have strong relations with Taiwan. And so I don't think that's going to work as well as the Chinese thought, that propaganda effort.